Hello, grade 10. Welcome to quarter 2 in our cookery 10. This is all about prepare vegetable and seafood dishes. So for the module 1, lesson 1, we have the principles of preparing vegetables. So let's start. Classification of vegetables. Vegetables are one of the categories of food that can be obtained from any part of edible plants. So these edible parts can be, number 1, the stem, or this is the stem vegetables. So these are shoots from a plant which shoots from the roots or bulbs, and it always grows above the ground. So examples of stem vegetables are, we have the asparagus, the celery also, and the bamboo shoots. You know that one, the bamboo shoots. Okay, so those are examples of stem vegetables. We have number 2, the leaves vegetables. Of course, the parts which are the leaves are the one that we're going to use as vegetable that we're going to prepare. These are the leafy vegetables that are leafy, belong in this category, such as the cabbage, the lettuce, and of course vegetables that we're going to use the leaves as our one of the ingredients that we're going to prepare in our vegetable dishes. Alright. Number 3, the flower vegetables. So these plants that have flowers are used as vegetables in the of course in the culinary world. So examples are the cauliflower, of course it's obvious, the cauliflower, the broccoli. We can use also the squash blossoms, the flower of the squash, the plants that is called squash. Then of course it could be banana flower. We can use the banana flower, right? What it is called, the heart, or we call it puso. Puso. Okay, so those are examples of flower vegetables. Now we have number 4, the stalk or the bulb vegetables. This is the part of the plant which grows just below the ground, and it is the portion which is in between the stem and root. So the root actually comes out from the bottom of the bulb. Then the bulbs are generally in layer of skin, and they are very strong in flavor. Like for example, the onion, the garlic, the spring onion. Okay, so that's stalk or bulb vegetable. The seed vegetables. The seed vegetables is or the vegetables that we call beans, right? The seed part of the plant which is used for the culinary or used for our vegetable dishes. Like for example, mung bean, the soybean, the cowpea, the white bean. Alright. Number 6, the root vegetables. This category includes plants in which Roots are edible and used as vegetables. So these are usually long, round and swollen taproot. Examples of these are the beet, carrot, radish, the horseradish, the turnip. All right, then let's proceed with the tuber vegetables. In this group, the plant's roots are modified and enlarged into a swollen structure that are full of nutrients. So, examples are potato, cassava, the yam, or the taro. All right. Number 8, the fruit vegetables. Okay, any vegetables that bear fruits are under this category. So these are the plants that bear sweet and fleshy fruits. So these are eaten raw, pwede raw. Then examples are the tomatoes, the bitter gourd, the eggplant, bell peppers, winter melon, chayote, and any plants that bear fruits that we use the fruit as the vegetables. So those are belongs to this category. Number 9, last one, the fungi vegetables. These refer to the commonly known mushrooms in various types. Some are edible, of course, and others are poisonous. Diba? There are mushrooms that are poisonous. Examples are button mushroom, enoki, the straw mushroom, the morel. Okay, so those are fungi vegetables. Okay, we're done with the classification of vegetables. Okay, let's proceed the preparing vegetables. Of course, in preparing the vegetables, this is what we're going to do. The first one, we have to wash hands, of course, before preparing vegetables. So hands should be washed thoroughly, of course, with soap before handling the vegetables. The next one, you're going to remove outer leaves or the peelings. Of course, because this may decrease the amount of pesticide residues or harmful microbes on the fruits and vegetables. Diba? Okay, next, wash vegetables with cool tap water. That is to remove the dirt, of course, and the residues. Okay, the next is scrub farm produce with a clean produce brush. Of course, at home or in preparing vegetable dishes, we should have a separate brush that is intended only for cleaning or scrubbing the vegetables. Okay, next, don't wash vegetables with household soaps and detergents. So maybe it will absorb the soaps and detergents are maybe absorbed in the flesh of the vegetables, right? Okay. Next, don't cross-contaminate. Okay, for example, in having a cutting boards, you have to use separate cutting boards and utensils when handling fresh produce from the cutting board which is used in cutting raw meat, poultry, and seafood. So you should separate the cutting boards that we're going to use in the vegetables and from the meat or seafoods or poultry products. Okay, so that there is no cross-contamination of each. Remember, you have the fresh produce from the farm, and then the other one is the meat. So do not you should just separate cutting boards. That is why that is of course to avoid cross-contamination. Next, wash surfaces often. Now, the cutting boards, the dishes, the utensils, the countertops should be washed with hot soapy water after using it. And of course, in contact with fresh produce or raw meat, poultry, or seafood, you have to wash it after using it so that you will not enter what is that? That is to avoid dirt or microbes. No? So next is sanitize countertops and cutting board. Okay, after cleaning the countertops and the cutting boards rather, it should be sanitized with a solution of 1 teaspoon of chlorine bleach in 1 quart of water. That's the proportion. And of course, be aware of the hazards associated with storing and using bleach. No, do not apply the solution directly to fruits and vegetables also. All right. Then the last one, refrigerate fresh produce within 2 hours of peeling or cutting. Beyond that hours, maybe your vegetables or fresh produce will be already discard na lang, no? Because if the temperature of that more than 2 hours, it will damage the fresh produce. Well, actually, fresh produce, that is the vegetable. What is this? Fresh vegetables that is newly coming from the farm. That is really fresh. A produce or a product that is coming from the garden. All right. Okay. Preparing fresh vegetables. So how are you going to prepare the fresh vegetables? Number 1, you have to wash. That's washing. So wash all vegetables thoroughly. You're going to scrub well those unpeeled vegetables like potatoes. Wash green leafy vegetables in several changes of cold water. Then after washing, drain well, refrigerate lightly, and of course you have to cover it to prevent from drying. Number 2, soaking. Soaking is important, but still do not soak vegetables for long periods to prevent the flavor and nutrients loss, right? Number 3, peeling and cutting. So in peeling vegetables, do it as thinly as possible. Do not include the flesh, just the peelings. Okay, that's the peelings, of course, that's the outer covering of the fruit vegetables, right? Then, in cutting vegetables, you cut it into uniform pieces. That is for even cooking. Diba? Mas nice yung uniform yung pagkakat ng vegetables. Right? Then, in serving, fresh produce should be placed unrefrigerated on the table not longer than 2 hours. So, if you're not going to serve that less than 2 hours, so just put that one in the refrigerator na lang, no? And then if it is not, or you can use cooler with ice, especially when you're going to transport the food or the fresh produce or the fresh vegetables coming from the farm, coming from the garden. You can use cooler with ice or ice gel packs. That is to transport, or kanang you're going to store cut fresh vegetables using when you have picnics, no? You want a fresh cut vegetable, so to maintain the freshness of that, so you're going to use a cooler. But of course, in having a picnic, you are having meat also, or any mga raw meats in raw meats, that is for grilling or whatever. Use another cooler for the meat. No? Separate the cooler from vegetables and meat. All right. Now, let's proceed with the flavor components of vegetables. Number 1 is the sugar fructose. Now, this one class, this is a natural sugar that coming from the vegetables. That is to provide the sweetness of the vegetables. It's natural. 2, it is a component which is called the glutamic acid. So it produces monosodium glutamate when the vegetables combined with salt. So you have that flavor component, the glutamic acid. Then the third one, the sulfur compounds. Now this one, it gives strong flavor and odor of some vegetables. Of course, like onions, diba? They have a strong flavor or odor of this kind of vegetables. The leeks, the garlic, the chive, the cabbage, and broccoli. Okay, so those are the flavor components of vegetables. The 3. The sugar fructose, the glutamic acid, and the sulfur compounds. Okay. Then another one, a color components of vegetables. So we have the color component of vegetables now. Number 1, the chlorophyll. This is common to you. That's the green color of the vegetables. The carotenoids, this is the yellow, orange to red soluble pigments. We have a beta carotene from carrots and squash. Carrots, orange, squash, yellow. And we have the lycopene from tomatoes, the red one. Okay, then the flavonoids, number 3. The flavonoids, we have the anthocyanin. This is responsible for the yellow pigments. And the anthocyanins, we have they are responsible for red and blue to violet pigments. Like for example, the eggplants or the beets. Okay, so those are the color components of vegetables. The most common is the chlorophyll. No, of course this is responsible for the green of the plants, the green color of the plants, the chlorophyll. Alright, so those are the color components of vegetables. Now, let's proceed. Now we have what we call standardized recipe. This one, the United States Department of Agriculture defines standardized recipe as the recipe that has been tried, adapted, and retried several times for use by a given food service operation and has been found to produce the same good results. Okay. The standardized recipe is really complete, no? It has already a specific set of written instructions for cooks to produce consistent, high quality recipes every time that you prepare this type of recipe. Now, there are the standardized recipe, of course. We have this is very important because through this you can establish consistency in the quality of all foods being made, no, in the menu planning and in the food and the labor costs. So from the word standard, right? Okay, so now in this standardized recipe, we have different elements. All right. Number one, the recipe title. The recipe title, of course, is the name of the recipe, or that is the name of the product that is being created. Okay, you know already that one. In every recipe that you're going to do, so it should have a title or it should have a name. Okay, number two, recipe category. This is the classification of the creditable components being claimed by for reimbursement, like if that is a fruit or a vegetable or a meat alternate or a bread or a grain or dairy. Okay, so that you know already what category is that kind of standardized recipe. The number three, the serving size. So this is the single required portion of the final product being served. Okay, then the recipe yield. This is the total number of servings available when the final product is being made. Right, number five, the equipment and utensils to use. Okay, of course, you should have the list of cooking and serving tools needed to that is from making the recipe till the until you serve the food item. What's the equipment and utensils that you're going to use up to the serving time. Okay, then number six, the ingredients. Oh, this is very important. These are the food items used in the recipe. And the number seven, the continuation, we have the weight and volume of each ingredient. So this is the required amount of each ingredient in the recipe. Then the number eight, the preparation instructions. So this is the specific directions for preparing the recipe. That's very important. That is the step-by-step how to do the or how to cook or how to prepare this kind of recipe. Okay, number nine, the cooking temperatures and time. Now this is the appropriate temperature that needed and the amount of time needed for the highest quality product that we're going to produce. No? The number 10, the food safety guidelines. This is still important because, of course, it includes procedures designed to ensure the safety of the food being produced throughout the preparation and serving the food. Okay. To prevent to prevent cross-contamination, and etc. No? And number 11, the food cost. The food cost this is the figure cost of one serving. That is, of course, to identify or to identify the cost of this particular recipe. Then the last one, the nutrient analysis data. This is the listing of the nutrients per serving. Like, for example, how many percent of calories present in this recipe, how many percent of protein, how many percent of fats, how many percent of the carbohydrates, and etc. Right? That's important. All right. Okay. That's all. And thank you for watching. Now we have this activity number 1. You're going to research a sample of standardized recipe. You're going to cut that one and paste it in your activity notebook. Then explain the details of why is it a standardized recipe? Is it are the elements present in this and in that kind of standardized recipe? Or maybe it has a complete elements or benefits from this standardized recipe. Alright, that's your activity number 1. That's all. Thank you.